we know what you're looking for.
Your specially grilled newspaper, spiced with lifestyle, sport, entertainment, politics, business, and international news. The Voice is available every Friday. Subscribe now. The Voice.
Dumelang Batswana ko lapeng. Welcome to The Voice of Chief and Fangs. This is your weekly debate, analysis, and discourse show. That's why the show is called The Voice of the People. And what we're talking about today is an issue that has been trending on the social networks over the past couple of weeks. Sex tape, sex tape, di tsikinyego tsa morobala gore puisano le tshwene go pieno ke gore should the leakers of sex tapes be liable for prison time. Now usually, like in any debate, there's someone who's supporting it, someone who's against it. Fangs here is the one who's going to be supporting this motion. He believes people who leak these sex tapes should be imprisoned in some way. I believe that they shouldn't, but we'll get to that later. So as usual, what we did, we posted this motion early today on the page of The Voice so that we can get some of your comments, because this is the voice of the people. We are really interested in hearing what the people say. And we were pretty pleasantly surprised by the response. And we were also shocked and horrified at some of the things, the ordeals. In some instances. So I just want to read one comment first from Bando Mukotedi. Right? And this comment really shocked me, right? It said, I once had an argument with a guy who later sent me pictures of my nudes and threatened to expose them. Mind you, all taken when I was asleep. I knew what it would do to me if he did. I begged till I gave up. I actually stopped dating. Maybe someday he's going to post them, but even if he does, whatever the punishment he gets won't do any damage control. Sure, thanks.
Yes, that's shocking, man. And that's how would I get it now by Matamunyana, Chief? It's because of this, man. I find it absolutely horrifying what people can have their trust violated to such a degree. Now I want to say they could abuse here. But another comment, comment in it leading to another comment from Eli Basta Baruti. Why should you punish people who shared the video? By that, you are only dealing with a consequence, and it's not sustainable. Why not punish those who filmed it in the first place? I get it, if they didn't film it, no one would have shared it. You want to deal with a problem, address the root cause.
I somewhat tend to agree with Mr. Basta Baruti that, look, the people here who are the ones who should be faced with this issue are the people who did the act, right? But I think, like you say, it's still against their privacy. So we appreciate the comment, Mr. Basta Baruti. There was also some very comical comments, as usually there's a mix of the serious and the funny comments. So one of the comments that we got, I can't see this person's name, then play the evidence go courting. And then
what evidence?
Like he's encouraging this sex play. Okay, one more comment, Fangs, before you tell us why they should be imprisoned.
No, we are not get please don't call us sheriffs. We are information distributors. Respect our job too.
Yeah, who distribute the information, and that begs a serious question, though. Like we were saying, is the person who passes on the information, are they as guilty as the original person who uploaded it? But take it away, Fangs. Tell us why people should go to jail for these trivial issues.
That's right. So I think we all, a lot of us, Facebook, the incident with that young lady last week who had a sex tape that was leaked. I haven't seen it, but everybody was talking about it on Facebook and social media and so on. But people clearly were sharing it, WhatsApp or wherever else. And the young lady eventually came out and put out a statement. A lot of people want to do that. She is who she is. She's going to carry on living her life, something along those
You
lines.
go, girl.
Which, yeah, you know, I think we can both be proud of that, Chief. I mean, we can both admire her ability to own herself, own her sexuality, and so on. The problem is, it wasn't her choice to publicize this material. This was done against her will, and that is a very, very serious issue. And that's why Renale discussion in is to talk about whether or not people who do this, who share material like this, should be imprisoned. And I think generally, it really, this issue, it's about more than just sex tape, right? There's nude images that people will share. There's even times when people will take screenshots of very intimate conversations and then publicize them on public forums. I think it's the same level of criminality that's at play here, right? It's the same level of harm, essentially, because what you're doing is you're undressing somebody in public, right? You're taking away their privacy, and you're doing it in a platform which is irreversible, right? It will always stay there, so the harms can never be erased, essentially. And I'd like to start off by looking at why this is a form of abuse. Because abuse, it essentially means to use to bad effect or bad purpose something, right? Or to treat with cruelty, especially regularly or repeatedly, something or somebody, right? And when we look at, and finally, actually, it has the effect of limiting a person's ability to exercise their rights. So when we look at this, how distributed these sorts of things. So maybe sex tape, it's amoto. So somebody in a context where it's two partners, they're intimately involved, and then one shares an intimate image or conversation or something with the other person about themselves, right? These are people that already share this intimacy anyway, so it's perfectly normal for them to do this with each other. But then at some point, whatever conflict arises between them, then one party who has been access to this privacy, to this intimacy, decides, I'm going to use these images now. I'm bitter, or because I'm angry, or whatever other reason, I'm going to publicize it and share it with people who this person does not know, who are not privy to this agreement that we had. And that's where the problem comes in, because clearly the intent is bad effect. The intent is to cause harm to another person. And it is taking advantage of a situation, a level of trust that not any other person would have had access to if they weren't in this intimate relationship immediately, right? And I think that there's a real problem there, because we have a responsibility as society to stop abusive behavioral patterns before they are normalized, right? Because what's happening here is, now, say for example, I'm this aggrieved boyfriend and I share my girlfriend's nude images in public. What happens now is they get out there in Facebook, on WhatsApp, and then the culture that is developing is the people that get these images, they don't condemn, they share it as well. And then they share it with more people, and then even more people. So what ends up happening here is it normalizes this behavior. Share the image, it's about to violate the other people's privacy like this. And we think that it's okay, and we'll crack jokes about it. Meanwhile, all of this is causing real damage to a human being. Right? It's causing real damage to their self-esteem, to their professional opportunities. It's causing them to feel depression in some cases, because obviously nobody obata in public. And that's in a literal or figurative sense. I think a good example of this is how we criminalized revealing somebody's HIV status, for example, right? Or confidential information like that. If I, as a medical practitioner, or through whatever means, have access to somebody else's HIV status, and I go and I publicize that, I can be held criminally liable for that sort of thing. It is only information, but the nature of that information is so harmful, and I am violating a level of trust to such an egregious level that we cannot continue this. We cannot allow that sort of behavior to happen, and therefore we criminalize and send such people to prison. This is the exact same sort of thing. We need to imprison people that do this, Chief. Ganaya.
Yeah, no, I disagree wholeheartedly 120% facts, right? And here's why. Look, I will agree with some of the things that you're talking about, right? I will agree with the fact that, you know, maybe there is a violation of trust on some level. Maybe, you know, that person's trust has been betrayed, right? But my principal reason why you simply cannot criminalize this is because no crime has actually taken place, right? There are no tangible harms here that we can actually identify. And here's what I mean by this, is because really the only thing that you're suffering at the end of the day is embarrassment, right? You are embarrassed that a picture, a video of you being naked is out there on the internet. And, you know, this, we can't equate embarrassment, right? But also, we cannot set a legal precedent for embarrassment, right? Because now you're setting a very, very low bar for what I can legally be held accountable for embarrassing you, right? And look, there's so many examples of this, but I think we need to also remove this idea that somehow, you know, you've been violated in some way, because at the end of the day, we all have these bodily organs. So, and it's an act that we all engage in. So what your real problem is not the fact that you're actually doing it, it's just the fact that the person that you were doing it with betrayed your trust, right? So principally, that's the person that you have to deal with. Now, for the rest of us in society, if we get to see that tape, you know, there's really nothing wrong with that. Look, there's so many people throughout the world that have even made names for themselves just because of sex tapes. Look, the whole Kim Kardashian effect, right? And when you look at what tangible harms actually befell her, her name recognition actually got out there more. She was able to get endorsement deals. And I'll bring it back home. The girl at the center of the sex tape has now grown in popularity. You know, and like you rightly said at the beginning, she chose to own her situation. She chose to change the narrative and be like, look, I don't care if you people have seen me naked, because at the end of the day, so like, what's the big deal? So now, when you send someone to jail for such frivolous, and this is exactly what it is, it's a very frivolous charge, because you're just essentially olaola maikutlo a motho mongwe. It sets a very dangerous precedent, because now anyone can just claim embarrassment. You know, I can claim things that you embarrassed me by posting that Man United didn't win the league last year. You know, so there's so many ways that you need to demonstrate what tangible harms. All the things that you're talking about, the reputational damage, all of these things. There's an argument to even say this could have lifted your profile just as an individual, because now people know the name of this girl who's at the center of this issue. So it's sad, right? It's very sad. It's not nice when we have our business put out there. You know, we feel bad about it. But is it a crime, thanks? I'm going to say no. No crime has been committed here. You cannot send people to jail over the fact that somebody's embarrassed, thanks. Really, that's the crux of my case.
Okay. I mean, I hear you, Chief. This idea, but I have a real problem with this idea. There is no harm to. If you damage my reputation, if you damage my brand, then you are not actually harming me. I think
Here's the question.
Yeah.
Is it damaging your brand?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think it is not unreasonable to assume when you violate my privacy, because it is a violation of my privacy. There's no denying that what you are doing there is harming me already. It doesn't matter in what nature you're violating it, but it is a harm to me. I get it. And actually, let's take a look at some of the comments that people wrote here.
We have some very interesting comments coming here, right? It seems like most people are agreeing with Fangs here on this motion. We did a poll question that we'll read the results to later, right? But yeah, there's this one guy who Mudimu John Pole Ari. Sharing such videos is abuse and it's sexual harassment somehow. We know that everyone owns phones nowadays and are on media, including those who are underage or viewing such things. So it's going in line with your argument of abuse and things like that. But look, again, to question your ideas when about being abused, let's take a case in point where somebody is actually physically abused. There's physical damage that happens to that person. They feel that pain, Now, your intangible idea of reputational damage, and this is why I said maybe that girl's profile. Now we actually know who she is, because before this, did you know who she was?
No, I didn't. And I mean, does she want me to know who she is? Right? I mean, like, I've even avoided using her name so far because I don't know if she wants her name being used in this way. And that's the problem, is she never had the choice. It's different entirely from, in fact, even the Kim Kardashian example that you used, right? She had a sex tape. That's how we found out who she was, right? Her and Ray J. But then, just like, was it 2016, 2017, when the iCloud hack happened and all these celebrities' images got hacked and got publicized. Yeah. She was one of the people that was number one in complaining about her privacy being violated. Because it's not just about the nudity, Chief. It's about the fact that somebody took something from you without your consent, right? And abuse doesn't have to be physical, right? It can, as long as somebody is oppressing you or taking from you, right? Something that you can't take back once it's gone. I think that we have to somehow recognize that. And I mean, Chief, Look,
let me just explain this one more time because, again, when you want to talk about damage to your brand, right? Mm-hmm. You need to demonstrate that previously you were engaged in this line of work. And this is how now, this is going to prevent you from doing that. But now, if you're simply talking about, yeah, I feel bad, like my feelings have been hurt, we can all empathize. Yes, it's a bad thing, like I feel for you, Fangs. But now, what real loss of income have you suffered? Like I say, if anything, and this is a bottom barrel argument. I'm not saying that you should use this as a way to get famous, but if anything, the fact that people now are actually giving publicity to this individual, it's somewhat raised a profile. And the celebrity hacks you're talking about, again, the question was, what damage did it do to their brands? They all went on, actually, Kim Kardashian went on to make more money after all that, because you know what the highest Googled image was at the time?
Yeah. I mean, look, you know what? I think Kim Kardashian could literally do anything and make more money. She could like pick up garbage and make more money doing it. But you know what? Somebody else asked here actually, Jorge, why are people taking videos during sex? This means that there is no problem. KG Lekang.
And you know what? That's something that I actually missed in the first place. The fact that you are comfortable enough to shoot a sex tape. Right, you need to understand nowadays. Lose a phone things. Where now, why are you shooting sex tapes in the first place? The main issue so shoot these sex tape effects. I mean, and even with the hack of the iCloud, why are you taking pictures, naked pictures of yourself?
Okay, you see now, that is a real question I have often asked myself. I've never taken nude pictures of myself, but just because we aren't going to take nude pictures, Chief, doesn't mean people aren't allowed to take. And I was actually wondering about this as well, right? And one thing that occurred to me with smartphones, right? What's happened with the 21st century? The world's gotten bigger and smaller at the same time. So at the same time, I can have a girlfriend in Cape Town, and we can talk to each other every single day and see each other every single day. When my dad was my age, he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? So now, like, she's in Cape Town though, right? So obviously because of smartphones, because we can see each other, we can talk.
Or you're
it's
gonna
easy.
record.
So now we're gonna do things. I can just imagine, you know what I mean?
Things because these phones get out. Look, if you truly and this is where the hypocrisy is. If you truly are so private and you want to keep your body sacred and you don't want people to get it out there, thanks. Don't film yourself having sex. Get out. Have you ever just had the urge, you know, the world naked?
Yes, actually. Yeah. Right? But you know what? There are no nude beaches in Botswana. So the best we can do is take a couple.
Anyway, so look, we ran a poll question because this is the end of our discussion with myself and Fangs. On Twitter, you know, because like we said, this is the voice of the people. Tota, we want to hear your opinions, right? So we ran a poll. Should people who, and this was on Twitter at the Voice BW, should people who share sex tapes and other intimate content face jail time? 68% said yes, while 27% said no. 5% were not sure. So that means the people are with you, Fangs. They believe people should go to jail. I say they shouldn't go to jail. Just don't record yourself naked.
Well, yes. You know what? And this will be my final thought before we wrap it up, right? Yeah. I kind of agree with you in that it seems a little bit strange to me to be taking nude pictures of myself and videos of myself. But, you know, we live in the 21st century. We got technology. People want to explore, you know, and I think it's okay to do that. Just maybe be a little bit careful about how you do it. You know, don't do it with WhatsApp. Download these sophisticated apps nowadays where you can't take screenshots.
Okay. All right. And thanks for that, Fangs. My last word is simple. If you want to protect your privacy, don't record sex tapes because you can never trust the other individual. And that brings the end to our show for this week, The Voice of the People. We always appreciate your comments. We hope you can always stay engaging with us. From myself, Chief, and Mr. Fangs, thank you.
See you next week.
Yeah.
What you're looking for.
Your specially grilled newspaper, spiced with lifestyle, sport, entertainment, politics, business, and international news. The Voice is available every Friday. Subscribe now. The Voice.